I decided not to write anymore. And every day, I circled around the tractor with my father, imparting all my knowledge verbally. The Gaokao finally ended, and I rolled up my bedding and went to the county town, waiting for Stephen. At the school gate, Michael and Julia walked out of the exam hall together, looking at me arrogantly, as if they were already the pride of the heavens. Finish the exam. Come on, get in the car. I'll take you into the city. Looking towards the sound, it was Stephen. He walked up to me and helped me pick up my tattered luggage. Don't just stand there. Get in the car. The car drove for several hours, and finally arrived at City A. The car stopped in front of a small alley, dropped off Julia, and eventually drove into the military district compound. I looked at the familiar Fu family villa in front of me and turned to Stephen. Didn't you say you arranged a job for me? Can I stay in the dormitory? I don't want to see Michael. Michael coldly said, What? Isn't this the life you've always dreamed of? Now that it's within reach, you don't want it. Are you playing some kind of cat and mouse game? You really have a lot of tricks. I was about to argue. Stephen advised Alicia, It's too late now. I'll take you to the military factory tomorrow morning. However, even if you enter the factory, you can't stay in the dormitory. You must live at home. Trust me. He carried my tattered luggage, settled me in, and brought new bedding. 2 sets to alternate. He said this to protect my dignity. My worn-out bedding was completely unusable. Watching him busy himself for me, I picked up the calendar beside me with a heavy heart. The current date is July, and there are exactly 72 days until September. I have to remind him every day, Stephen. Be sure to drive safely. But I also don't know if I can prevent this car accident from happening. Chapter 6. He smiled helplessly. Alicia, comrade, please rest. The next day, I finally returned to the military factory again. In my previous life, it was here that I learned various skills. Unfortunately, I was not very bright and spent too much time revolving around Michael, delaying many important tasks. Just like in my previous life, Stephen took me to meet the factory director, who then took me to the workshop. When I turned to the equipment maintenance department, I saw my beautiful and hot-tempered master, Liu Yuxiong, through the window. I rushed up and gave her a big hug. Master, I miss you. She looked at the factory director in confusion. Where did this wild girl come from? Jumping on people as soon as she meets them. Is she a dog? I wiped my tears. Yes, I am indeed a dog. Master was amused and exasperated, and accepted me as a disciple on the spot. Just like that, I began my life, commuting between the factory and the Fu family's small villa. That evening, Stephen gave me a brand new bicycle. Alicia, comrade, it will be convenient for you to ride a bicycle to work from now on. I touched the shiny handlebars, tears welling up in my eyes, filled with gratitude. At this moment, Michael remarked from the side, She's just a country girl who can't ride a bicycle. Give this one to me and I'll give it to Julia. It's inconvenient for her to go out. Julia just happened to be visiting the Fu family and chimed in with a cheerful smile. Yes, Stephen. Lend it to me for a few days and I'll return it to you. I grabbed the bicycle and said, Who says I can't ride? With that, I got on the bicycle and skillfully rode a lap. Stephen applauded me and reminded Michael, Alicia is our family. You can't treat her like that. Michael covered the amazement in his eyes and said, What kind of family is she? Her shabby luggage has already dirted our house. Stephen still wanted to persuade me, so I immediately said, Stephen, I will definitely take good care of this bicycle. In the future, when I earn money, I'll pay you back. Master said that the early stages of learning are intense and demanding, so I should stay in the dormitory, but I think I should move out. Michael remarked. Quite sensible. With no other choice, Stephen agreed. Finally received my first salary of 20 yuan. I bought a diary, wrote down the tractor maintenance details, and rode my bike to the post office to send it home. At the entrance of the post office, I unexpectedly ran into Stephen. It turned out that the Gaokao results were out, and he brought Michael to the post office to wait for the university admission letter. Stephen glanced at the notebook cover and saw the words, "Tractor repair." He took it and flipped through it. Surprised yet delighted Alicia. "Did you write this? Is this your handwriting?" I nodded, feeling a bit ashamed. In my previous life, Master was so frustrated trying to teach me that he nearly burst along. "Our Alicia is quite the talented woman too," Stephen said with a smile. For some reason, whenever I see his smile, I am reminded of that car accident, and tears well up in my eyes. "Michael, brother, I didn't pass the exam. What should I do?" Not far away, Julia's crying could be heard. Michael was patiently patting her back. "It's okay. I'll tutor you this year. You can definitely do it." Seeing this couple made me feel sick. So I grabbed my notebook and went into the post office. After coming out, I found that Stephen hadn't left yet. I thought he was waiting for Michael, but he grabbed me. "Come on, I have something to tell you at this moment." Michael frowned at me. "Bro, we still need to take Julia home," Stephen said stiffly. "Not me, just you." Julia, with eyes like walnuts, glanced at me. "Michael, brother. Stephen still has to take care of others. I can walk back by myself." Michael pointed at me angrily. "Alicia, you really have some skills. You've actually made my brother interested in you." His voice was quite loud, and the people around waiting for the notification all looked over. Chapter 7: The Female. Educated youth who bullied me with Julia last time also gave me hostile looks. Stephen stood in front of me. "Michael, you bastard. We are Alicia's family. Why are you helping outsiders target her?" Saying that, he turned around and took me away. Michael watched the backs of Stephen and me, wanting to say something, but hesitating. Stephen asked me, "Do you want to take the Gaokao?" In my previous life, Master asked me the same question. But at that time, I was constantly pestering Michael, and had no interest in the Gaokao. However, just now, I saw the admission letter in Michael's hand, and felt very envious. "Can I do it?" Stephen seemed more confident than I was. "Of course you can. You applied for the mechanical engineering major, and you're attending a tutoring class outside. Your English foundation is weak, so I can give you extra tutoring." I hadn't even had time to think when that afternoon he took me to register, and even lent me the registration and book fees. I didn't know how to thank him enough. So I asked him anxiously, "Stephen, can you spend a day with me on September, which is a weekend?" He was always cheerful and generous, but at this moment he blushed. It settled then. From then on, my living spaces were only the dormitory, the workshop, and the tutoring class. Stephen came to the tutoring class to meet me, every time to save my time, and helped me with my English. Life was busy, yet orderly, and I felt that a new life was beckoning me. September finally arrived. I arrived at Fu's front door at 6 o'clock, because I wasn't sure if Stephen would go out for a run, or drive far away to buy soy milk. I wanted to ensure that he was safe and sound the entire day. I waited for a long time. Julia finally arrived. She carried fried dough, sticks, and buns. Looked at me smugly. "Alicia, you really have no shame at all." The young aunt who got up early opened the door to let us in. Michael looked me up and down. "You really have become my brother's clingy plaster." Stephen stopped him from the side. "What she wants to do is her business. It's not for you to judge." Michael gave a cold smile. "Stephen, let me tell you, when I was an educated youth in the countryside, she treated me the same way, saving good food for me, washing my clothes, and helping me with the dirty work in the cowshed. She couldn't see hope in me, so she turned to you. You're just my substitute." Seeing Stephen raise his hand to hit him, I quickly held him back and gently shook my head at Stephen, because Michael wasn't lying. I used to be like that. And what I'm doing with Stephen now, in the eyes of others, Does indeed seem like I'm clinging to him. But I don't care about anything anymore. Today's mission is to ensure Stephen is safe and sound. Today I'll stay at the Fu house and go nowhere else. Please help me with a day of tutoring. I looked at Stephen with determination. Julia chuckled. I've seen a lot in my life, but never someone with a face thicker than a city wall. Stephen gave her a cold glance and said to me, All right, I'll help you. Julia's face changed, but Michael wasn't having it. You promised to take me and Julia to the suburbs. Yesterday. Going to the suburbs, doesn't that require driving? I was so anxious that my eyes turned red. Stephen, please don't drive today. Why? Michael grabbed my wrist in a panic. Stephen opened his hand. You can take the bus yourselves. I'll help Alicia with her review. Julia was anxious. Stephen, Alicia is notorious in the village. Yet you still defend her. It was not surprising for such words to come from her mouth. But when I was suddenly attacked like this, it was as if my hands and feet were frozen by ice water, unable to move. I only heard Stephen say, Julia, our Fu family does not welcome you. Please leave Chapter 8. The entire day, Stephen stayed in his room with me reviewing. He showed not the slightest impatience. After 8 o'clock, I requested to stay overnight at the Fu family home, and he exclaimed with delight, Sure. I'd be more than happy. I was in the guest room, enduring as the clock struck 12. Deliberately walked downstairs, making a lot of noise. Stephen came out of the room, stood on the stairs, and looked at me, thirsty or hungry, confirming he was safe and sound. I silently smiled. I'll pour a glass of water. Having safely passed September 20th, I returned to my intense study and work, until one day Julia appeared at the military factory. It turned out that she failed. The Gaokao reviewed for a while, saw no hope and gave up. Michael arranged for her to work as a female worker in the packaging workshop. At the end of spring, the military factory district held an employee skills competition. I represented the equipment workshop in the final Gold Award evaluation. However, Julia, despite being slow and having poor packaging quality, also made it to the Gold Award evaluation round. At noon, Michael came to me. Alicia, your performance today was indeed excellent. But Julia needs this Gold Award more than you do. I crossed my arms and looked at him coldly, and the reason? With this Gold Award, Julia can secure an office job and won't have to do the hard work in the workshop anymore. She's physically weak, unlike you, who are strong and capable. I chuckled softly. What will I get? Then Michael was just negotiating. But now his face changed. The Fu family has already arranged a job for you. What more do you want? I found it amusing and pretended to be sincere. Don't worry, I will definitely cooperate well in the afternoon's evaluation. But that afternoon, I performed at my usual level and received the well-deserved Gold Award. In this life, Master can finally be proud of me. After the evaluation, Michael supported the sobbing Julia to confront me. Why did you deceive us? Stephen came over from the side. Michael, do you think others don't know your tricks? And you still come to question Alicia? Everyone present heard Stephen's shout and looked at Michael and Julia with strange eyes. They had no choice but to leave dejectedly. In the blink of an eye, it's another year of the Gaokao. After a year of tutoring, plus the foundation from my past life, I am very confident about this Gaokao. Walking out of the exam hall, Stephen leaned against the car, spirited and handsome. Let's go. My parents have returned from the south, and they want to treat you to dinner. Stephen brought me into the house, only to see Uncle Fu and Aunt Fu with gloomy faces. And Michael and Julia were not very happy either. Presumably, something has already happened before we returned. After taking a seat, Uncle Fu mentioned that my grandfather saved his life back in the day. And then, he talked about my arranged marriage with Michael. Michael, how about it? After spending this time together, do you still hold the same opinion as before? That's right, very well. Michael indeed refused. This engagement is settled then this way. Julia won't misunderstand me. He looked at Julia gently, and looked at me with embarrassment. Alicia, what do you think? I smiled then. I wish Michael and the person he loves a long and happy life together. Seeing that I showed no hesitation or reluctance, Michael's happiness was also reduced by half. But at this moment, Stephen stood up, took my hand and said, Dad, Mom, since everyone is here, I might as well be straightforward. Alicia and I are getting engaged. What? Michael and Julia almost asked simultaneously. Chapter 9. I also looked at Stephen in surprise, but he didn't let go of my hand. Did we agree yesterday? Are you going to back out today? He scratched my palm, and I responded with an, oh yes. Please, Uncle and Aunt, give us your blessing. Phoo. Uncle and Aunt were very happy. Good, good. This way everyone is happy. After the party, Stephen pulled me to his room. He lowered his eyes and said, I didn't mean to make things difficult for you. I just can't stand him bullying you. I tucked a strand of hair behind my ear and said, I understand. I won't take it seriously. Stephen's face suddenly became excited, and he grabbed my hand. No, you have to take it seriously and make it real. Why? I asked in a muffled voice with my head down. Because Michael will still mock you, suppress you, and I don't want that. I ran out of Stephen's room in a panic, but accidentally bumped into Julia at the door. Julia immediately clutched her stomach and sat down on the ground, with bright red blood flowing from under her skirt. She had a miscarriage. Was she already pregnant? Michael held Julia in pain and cursed at me. Alicia, is this how jealous you are that I like her? You actually killed our child. Stephen said, let's go to the hospital first. Things aren't clear yet. Don't make baseless accusations. The whole summer, I waited for the Gaokao results, in peace with Stephen's company. My hard work was not in vain. The bright red, scorching acceptance letter finally arrived. I showed the acceptance letter to Stephen, and he held it tightly in his arms. Alicia, I knew you could do it. Just as I was excitedly preparing to go to university, the newspaper published a story about me, pushing Michael's fiancée, Julia, causing her to miscarry in the factory. Someone pointed at me behind my back, and she calls herself a college student. With such a strong sense of jealousy, because of this incident, people from the university came, saying they wanted to investigate me, and might revoke my admission. I felt as if struck by lightning. A year's hard work was about to go to waste. When at a loss, Stephen brought a set of photos to the investigators, and asked them to keep it confidential. In the photos, there were pictures of Julia, and a fat old man in a suit, entering and embracing in a hotel guest room. Therefore, her child is very likely not Michael's. So she used my strength to have a masquerade, which not only gained Michael's sympathy, but also ruined my reputation, truly killing two birds with one stone. Unfortunately, all of this was exposed by Stephen. Stephen secretly gave the set of photos to Michael. Again, Julia never appeared at the Fu family again. As for Michael, he was never the same again, shutting himself in his room all day, even skipping school. The engagement party for Stephen and me was held as scheduled. Michael stood from afar in the crowd watching me. My gaze swept past him and finally landed on Stephen. Stephen, from now on, I will take it seriously. He lowered his head and smiled. Then you're taking it seriously later than I did. I was serious long before you. As the evening banquet ended, Stephen went to see the guests off, and Michael seized the moment when no one was around to pull me up to the attic. With reddened eyes, he said to me, Alicia, didn't you say you would only love me for a lifetime? Does your promise still hold? I smiled and pushed him away. That was a long time ago. Don't take it seriously. He squatted on the ground dejectedly, like a deflated balloon. I walked down the attic, held Stephen's hand, and moved towards my new life.